So hello guys, welcome back to another video. So our Ant-Man Antoine just did a live stream, a deep dive live stream explaining the new features, the gameplay features, and what are the other things, other stupid stuffs, man. So he did the live stream at 4 AM. I really don't know why. But in India, usually the thieves and chain snatchers are active at that time, not me, even though I look like one wearing this mask. So I'm gonna do a deep dive of Antoine's live stream and trying to understand what are the things that are coming in FC Mobile regarding gameplay. And I'm also gonna try to summarize. I'm gonna summarize, dude. What is try to? I'm gonna summarize and explain the new features that are coming up. And I hopefully don't roast anyone. So let's start. And before starting, there is a huge positive. And the thing is that the regional system, the separate server system is gonna be gone. So we are gonna have a global server. So now we can play with Russian players, American players, Japanese players. I'm not quite sure about that. But we can play with players from other servers. And I think it's a big win for us, because the community has been asking for a long time. And me as a live streamer playing, doing head-to-head friendlies with you guys, I usually have this issue because I can't really play with people outside the Indian subcontinent server. But this thing is gonna go, and we can have, I can play with Ahil, I can play with players from England, UK. They are not different though, but yeah, I think the global servers, one single server is a big W. Hopefully the server connection issues are not gonna be there. The issue that we had in FIFA Mobile 2021 maybe. So I think this is a big W, and I'm really excited for this one global server. And it's a brilliant thing for esports tournaments, for playing with friends, and we can have players of the other countries in our league as well. So it's gonna increase the competition, the cup sharing, and all the stuff that goes on. When there is the separate servers, is gonna be much more difficult to execute. And I think it's gonna be a really amazing thing. And also remember the fact that global server is gonna help us reduce the hackers, because currently in Indian subcontinent server, in top 250, top 100, around 2,000 people are trying to grind for that. But eventually 50-60 people are hacking. But when it's gonna be a global server, probably 40,000 people are gonna grind for top 100 and all those stuffs, and maybe 2,000 people are gonna be hacking. So maybe hopefully they have add that anti-hacking thing in game, but it is what it is.
Emo, it's good to have you on, and it's good to have you here to talk about gameplay.
Yeah, super excited, guys. So much to talk about today. And just so you know who I am, gameplay producer. I've been doing this for 1 decade. So I've been on this franchise for a decade doing gameplay.
So guys, he has been doing gameplay over the decade, and the gameplay is pregnant. He is the guy who is involved with all the cross spammings and all. See his face. See this face, guys. He is involved in cross spamming, lynch and spamming. He has been doing gameplay for the past decade, guys. Gameplay is pregnant.
But I can honestly tell you guys, really, never been more excited than today, because the team has been so hard at work, not just across the whole game, but especially gameplay. We put a lot of effort into this, really taking our gameplay to the next level. Now, personally, I would describe it, our gameplay has matured over the last 12 months building.
Yeah, not only the gameplay has matured, the players playing the game has also matured. From innocent little kids to stupid, toxic because of this cross spamming, lynch spamming, and all those stuffs. So yeah, people have matured, guys. We have matured. I was not like this at the start of playing FIFA Mobile.
Realistic and mobile-friendly game speed. We know that sometimes in the current game, the game can feel quite fast, and you receive a pass instantly. A defender is pressuring you, so we wanted to give you more time on the ball, make decisions, read the play, and also diversify the build-up play that way. So giving you more space, more time, slowing things down a little bit, and just creating a new flow for this new era of our franchise. So dynamic game speed really breaks down into two areas, and the first one is pace. So let's roll over to the next clip. So on FC Mobile, you will see a much more tangible attribute effect for acceleration and sprint speed. And you can see this here in the sprint race, the guy on the top, ID number 1, you can see he's the fastest guy, so he has a really high acceleration and sprint speed attribute, and then a medium rated and a low rated player. So you can see these differences, and you'll feel it when you play the game. This also gives more personality to players. Now, I understand maybe there's a concern here right away in saying, hey, it's all about pace this year, but that's not really the case because gameplay balance is the top priority always for us. So if we roll on to the next clip.
Yeah, gameplay balance has always been the priority, but I guess they are not very much successful in gameplay balance because, their gameplay balance is like the dinosaur on my head. Outdated and stupid, non-realistic, whatever it is.
You will actually see a sprint race between a dribbler and a defender. So what we didn't want is that the dribbler can just dribble away and defenders can't catch you. So the blue player has a head start, but the defender is catching him. Why?
Why is he catching him? Because, running with the ball and running without the ball makes a huge difference. You need to control the ball while you are running with the ball, but if you are not running with the ball, you can just sprint at your full speed towards the guy who is running with the ball. So more freedom, eventually more speed. So which is really realistic here. I mean, I like this one. So like usually when a striker or a footballer is moving forward with the ball in their feet, they usually decelerate every time they touch the ball in order to control the ball. And the defenders, because of this particular reason, they are not the guy without the ball, so they can just sprint towards this attacker and tackle the ball. So I think this is a very realistic change, and it's a very welcome change from me.
Clip. The second part for dynamic game speed is actually in dribbling. Exciting, and here I'm gonna reflect the first kind of community request. We've heard you guys said, well, small players are just not that valuable. There's no significant difference. So we wanted to make sure that players like Messi, super agile and fast. So we made some changes for dribbling. The first one is that agility attribute, higher impact on the playback rate of the dribbler so he can turn faster. So player height. So the smaller your player, the faster he'll be able to turn. I think this video comparison side by side is very clear. Now, of course, the small player on the left has very high agility, very high dribbling, and is quite small. And
yeah, the dogs are barking in the background, but the thing is, it is true. Like you saw Maradona's interview. He told that in Argentina, if you are tall, then you are probably not going to be making it pro as a footballer, because either they're gonna make you try as a goalkeeper or a defender, or you can do some other jobs, because players with short height has better agility, and they have the better control of the ball. There is some center gravity or whatever he said. Yeah, so I think this is more realistic, because short players have little legs, and which makes them easy to like maneuver the ball. But whereas tall players are huge, and eventually their heel to heel roulette are bigger, but it's kind of difficult for them to be very agile. And so that is kind of thing. They are a little bit heavy on the ball. So I think this is also a very positive change, and I'm glad that EA people has realized this after a decade.
Perfect segue into our next big fundamental feature, which is elite shooting. So let's roll the first clip. So we know that in the current game, shooting is quite fun, quite accessible. You can almost score from anywhere with anyone, but we kind of lost two things. One is user skill. And for elite shooting on FC Mobile, we really want to make sure we are rewarding great user skill, but also we wanted to make sure that shooting feels more realistic overall. So this is about like how we take shots and how successful you can be. So why is it called elite shooting? Well, because we're putting a lot more focus on users' input and the way he takes shots. So there's three areas that impact elite shooting. So let's roll on to the first clip. So the first one is your aim, your manual aim. So you can see this white line here in our debug. You can see this white line extended from the player. This actually represents your angle that you're aiming with the joystick. So if you have a great manual aim, as in this example, you can get the shot on target more often. And if you aim way outside, your chances of scoring will be decreased. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're aiming off to the goal, that you will always miss, but your chances will decrease, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, if you do a great job manual aiming, you will be rewarded. So that's important to us.
So to all the noobs who are scoring more than 10 goals, 12 goals, 13 goals, 16 goals in head-to-head, shooting has been made manual, and you can't really aim there and shoot here in FIFA Mobile. So people now who are boasting, including me, are noobs, because who is really pro? We will be finding that out in FC Mobile, because shooting has been made manual. Yeah. I need to start practicing, guys. This phone is switched up. Shit, I need to buy a new phone.
And I would say this is probably the most important one. This is shot context. So how you put your player into a position, right? Like in this example, you can see I'm beating the defender. I have great space, a great angle to the goal. And I'm basically putting my player in a good position to score. So we want to make sure that we reward you for putting your player in a good position. Now, if we roll on to the next clip, I'll show the opposite of that. So if you're attempting shots under difficult situations, you're less likely to be successful. So these are...
I mean, obviously, like, is there anything new to mention about this one? Like, this is, we are replicating real life football, or we are replicating Shaolin soccer. So, I mean, makes no sense. Like, it's just basic thing. Like, if you have good space, then you have a greater chance of scoring a goal. And if you are like, going outside the stadium and taking a shot, you have minus 1% chance of scoring a goal. I mean, this is not Shaolin soccer we are trying to imitate in FIFA Mobile. We are trying to imitate football in real life. So I don't think it was necessary to mention there. Just a waste of time.
You're going to see back-to-back, kind of the same situation here. I'm taking a first-time shot with my weak foot, and I'm going to miss. But then the second time, I'm actually taking an extra touch to then score. So those are the little things. But in real life, when you play football in real life, those are the difference makers, right? You take an extra touch, you compose your player, you set yourself up, and you're going to be more successful.
And once again, minute details, but it's going to have a big impact in the game. In real life, when a player is passing the ball and you try to take a shot without receiving it, it takes like loads of practice, because the bounce, if it is a ground pass, the bounce of the ball matters, and the speed of the ball at which the other teammate has given the attacker the pass, and then you have to time the connection perfectly. You have to time your feet. So these are certain impacts, certain things that impacts the result of the shot. But on the other hand, if you can, if you receive the ball first and then take a shot, you are more in control of the ball, and you are more in control of the particular situation. But this is from a defending point of view. If you apply pressure to the guy receiving the pass, he's not going to have time. So this pressure is going to force him take the shot first time without receiving the ball, and he might end up missing. So these are the little things that can help in defending as well as it's going to make the game more realistic. So suppose a guy is is planning to receive the ball first and then take a shot. It's going to give defenders time to make that tackle, and it's just a game of minute seconds, and this detail is really amazing.
Important. Let's talk about headers. Yes, we know about headers, and we try to improve it significantly with elite shooting. So as you can see, elite shooting also extends to headers. And what you see in particular in the situation here is, if you apply defensive pressure to the attacker, you can kind of, force him to have more error on headers. So what we didn't want is that if you have great defenders and you do everything right, you pressure the guy, and the player still scores easily. That didn't feel fair. So you can now affect the accuracy of the attacker by putting pressure on him. And generally speaking, headers also follow the same laws of elite shooting. So, you know, the closer you are, the better your angle and so forth.
So the tube light of the EA people finally lit up. They finally realized that cross is unfair and all the stuffs because there was no defense mechanism against cross spamming. Look, you know, in real life football, if you see Netherlands matches, they depend on crosses. Warghost is there, a tall guy who heads the ball in. But, you know, in FIFA Mobile, even short-headed players are scoring headers, and it's kind of really concerning because there was no defense mechanism. There was no defense mechanism available for players. Like eventually a defender of Maldini's quality is considering a goal against Santi Carlosa. So I'm not being a racist or sexist or whatever you call, but you know it was kind of realistic. And this particular feature, if they can execute it, if it is true that it's going to be there in FC Mobile, then it's going to make crossing is your choice. It's going to make a heading much difficult, and these little changes are going to add improve the defense mechanism of FC Mobile. So I think cross spamming will be a little bit lower because, you know, people just cross the ball and pray to God that someone is going to head. I think that's going to go in the FC Mobile version. So which is a big positive, which is definitely a big positive.
Yes, absolutely, Antoine. And it's always important to extend and expand, I should say, our defensive controls. We add so many cool things on offense, but hey, let's not forget about defending. And the hard tackle not only is a great way to defend in general, but it's also a great countermeasure to power shots, right? Like we'll have even more powerful and faster, far-reaching hard tackles, and they can come in with so much force, taking out the player, and it's really satisfying. But just like power shot, just be mindful and careful when to use it, right? Because you are committing to a long animation. So it takes maybe a little bit of practice, but trust me, once you start knocking down people with the first couple of hard tackles, you're gonna love it. So let's move on to the next clip, which is also showing another way you can utilize the hard tackle, which is blocks. Whether that's a cross, whether that's the power shot, as I mentioned before, it's a perfect way just to slide in there in the last second because you're covering so much ground.
And these hard tackles is definitely going to increase your chances of getting a red card. And maybe you can use these hard tackles to tackle the referee if he gives a bad decision. But I think this hard tackle thing is gonna take a little bit time for us to adjust to, because obviously, you know, the card problem is gonna increase if we overuse this hard tackle. So we have to see that out. You know, I have played in the beta version, but you know, never really used the hard tackle because there was no need to use hard tackles. So here, I mean, the planning and everything looks good, but the execution it needs to be perfect in game. Like, you know, we can plan at night what we are gonna do tomorrow, but you know, eventually we wake up at 12 a.m. This is not my life story, or okay, no, but yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So these are the things that was there available that Antoine and Mr. Timo talked about. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and hopefully I didn't roast enough. I think that should be the end. I think that should be the end.